Month in South Africa, with a specific focus on June the 16th, which is also known as Youth Day. Youth Month pays a tribute to the school pupils who lost their lives during the June 1976 Soweto uprisings. To help us unpack Youth Day, celebrated on the 16th of June, I'm now joined in studio by Mr Kgabo Morifi, who's a convener from the Young Communist League in Gauteng. Thanks very much for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Peter, and good afternoon to the viewers.
All right, so Youth Month. I mean, you know, South Africa is a young country. By and large, the bulk of the population is young. And so this is your month as young people. How important is it for you in 2019 not only to reflect on what happened in 76, but I guess also to look at issues affecting the young now?
I think it is important, Peter, that we also not forget about, you know, the history and the role that young people have played in the past. I mean, dating back to the revolutions like your Cuban Revolution, you have had the likes of Fidel Castro, Che Guevara. They were very young and played, you know, a pivotal role in the Cuban Revolution. And you go to, you know, the Arab Springs, young people were at the forefront of that. So the point I want to, this gives me to the point I want to make, that young people are very important in that even the radicalization of the liberation movement in South Africa was anchored by young Nelson Mandela's, Walter Sisulu's and that generation, and which means that the youth is still, you know, playing an important role. And something that I think, Peter, should worry us is the unemployment rate that is affecting young people in the main. I mean, you have seen the statistics that were released 2 weeks ago, where they reflect that unemployment in South Africa is sitting at 27.6%, with young people contributing 55.2% of that percentage, which is something that should worry us, that if young people are not engaged, we are sitting on a you know, ticking time bomb.
So is this a big theme for you in Youth Month this year?
Yes, our issue is that, and I'm looking at it from a point of view of Gauteng City region, you know, as the economic hub of the country, that one thing that is important for the sixth administration is to ensure that, you know, we create jobs for, you know, young people, but also that young people are engaged. We have a challenge that young people are not engaged. There's a rise of right-wing politics, racist politics, and we also want to appeal to young people so that we don't venture into such
issues. So
issues.
Who do you talk to about creation of jobs? Is it government or is it companies? And government often talks about young people needing to become entrepreneurs instead of looking for employment.
Absolutely, Peter. I think it is important, that concerted role of, you know, engaging everyone, you know, in all sectors of our society is very important. I know for sure that in the past 2 weeks we've had, you know, elections, and young people have been sent to parliament, and there's been discussions, Peter, that young people are now going to parliament. I think that the issue around young people should, you know, transcend, you know, young people being to parliament. I think it should be about, you know, taking a deliberate stance to develop young people, and that means that in all in all sectors of society, our government must take a deliberate stance to develop such sectors. I mean, private sector, we need young people in the private sector who can do well. We want young people, you know, in government. I mean, Peter, this thing that you have the issue around scraping the you know, experience in your entry-level positions in government. It should not only end there, because, Peter, what happens is that young people are now going to be opened at an entry level, but there's still a bureaucratic tape that denies young people to permeate throughout structures of government up to a point of directors general. So you have gerontocracy, I mean, the rule by old in government, and these elders have protected themselves by trying to keep, you know, young people from, you know, growing within the ranks. I don't see any reason why a young person can't be a director or a DDG in government. So what they do, they now scraping the issue at you know, entry level. I think we must congratulate government, but it should go as far as, you know, the director general, you know, break the bureaucratic tape so that young people are empowered. But they should not stay in government. Part of saying open up space is that they must lend the expertise, you know, the network pool, so that they are able to go and participate in other sectors of our society.
All right. Well, talking about history and not forgetting history, do you think that young people nowadays fully understand what happened back in 1976 and appreciate its place in today's history. A lot of them, it's been more than 40 years. A lot of them, it's just stuff that they read about and have heard on the news. Do you think that they fully appreciate that time?
I think, Peter, let's not go far. I mean, the Fees Must Fall movement, I mean, the fall movement, played a very critical role. That of saying that, look, the 1996 class dealt about, Africans as a medium of instruction. Our role now is to, decolonize education and make it accessible to other young people. So it's a connected struggle, Peter. So I think that was a demonstration that young people are not really, forgetting about what has happened, but they're taking, the struggle forward, that the struggle in South Africa should transcend, lip service, and that we also, deconstruct the epistemological, the theory of knowledge in academic institutions, so that we decolonize it, that it is become, it becomes what, are the aspirations of the masses of our people.
All right, perhaps finally, you've spoken about big themes that you're interested in. What sort of things are you going to be rolling out over the next month, and particularly on June 16?
Look, this year our program is a long one. We're going to engage firstly with our government departments to check the extent to which they have plans. They have mainstreamed, plans to, employ young people, because in the main issue around the 55% of the 27% of unemployment should be addressed. And we'll engage our government departments, but also we'll go to the JSC to try and demonstrate that we want young people to be empowered, and to engage private sector institutions who have had the banking sector. We want to transform it so that also young people are able to participate in some of those areas. I mean, those are things that Peter will look at, and also to commemorate as part of, making young people, to give them revolutionary consciousness about what our struggle was all about and how do we need to take it forward, and the conduct of young people themselves going forward, because we have seen pictures of young people who drink themselves so badly that they are not coherent. So those are things that we've got to caution about, that we need to conduct ourselves in a manner that is befitting, in a manner that inspires confidence that, yes, we are the youth that can take South Africa forward.
Well, we certainly wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. Mr Kgabo Morifi, the convener from the Young Communist League in Gauteng. Thanks so much indeed for your time.
Thank you, Peter.
All right, so that's where we're going to leave that conversation for the time being. Let's catch you up with the weather. I've got a feeling that winter is actually